you join us for the last hurrah, our last bit of racing action and coverage from this incredible 2018 season for the Africa Off-Road Championship Series, running predominantly up in the northwest province of Southern Africa. This is the Hartbeesfontein 150, a club and short sprint event. So great to see everyone out there for the last time of asking. 12 rounds of championship racing about to be completed in this amazing 2018 season tour, which has seen growth across all of the categories, from kids bikes, senior quads, senior bikes, and all of the cars. So one more time, onto the fray, dear friend. In the lineup queue, it was a story for the C100. Colin Croshaw and Marina van Schalkwyk. It would be their first time to go and open up the course for the rest of the racers to come charging through. They knew they were going to get caught and passed early on, but for the early running, at least they would have clear air and no dust. But it was up to them to spot the markers and find the way. Great shots to see how hard that suspension really does work out front. Manus de Prier and Eugene van Rensburg in the D7. They would also have no one to play with some small entries across a couple of the categories at the final event. Johan Besson and Rudy van Heerden. Great to see the B11 running, some new colors, and you can hear some extra development on that exhaust system as well, putting them out as a massive favorite at this final event. CF van Schalkwyk and Arthur Croshaw in the B100. They'd have a bit of a task ahead of them, but their pace has shown they're a top 3 finisher every time they go out, certainly in the second half of the season. The P1 this time of Julo Ferreira and Claire Ferreira. Claire had her maiden run at the previous round. That was at the Paterplaas 200. She showed her form and brought home a strong result. So we'll be hoping for more of the same as the rest of the 15 strong entries from the B category come charging through. Martin, this time around with 4 wheels on his car. Remember, he actually walked away with an incredible result, limping home with just 3 axles attached at the previous event. He just wants a clean finish this time around. Doesn't want to be spending too much on the repair bills just before our Christmas breakdown. As we watch the Walkers head on out there, great setup on their car as well, as they changed vehicles just 2 rounds ago. With 12 rounds running, a very, very busy championship is the Africa Off-Road Series, and once again we'll be opening up our racing account. I believe it's going to be the second week in January. Vos Prinsloo and Kenneth Venter getting a NWM, that's Neil Woolridge Motorsports ex-national car. That was actually raced by Marcus Boomgaard and Kleber Cincia in the production vehicle Class T's. So that is a strong vehicle. But of course, Vos and Kenneth will just be doing a shakedown, getting themselves nice and comfortable and used to it. Giel Nel and Bel Janssen are going to be strong competitors as they roll on out. When you talk about the classes in the Class T's, just the 3 entries in production G's, that's our side-by-sides, which gave us so much action through this season. There's going to be 4 drivers going after that. Production Class F will give us a 3-driver entry. D's, just the 1 entry, and that is the Mitsubishi of Manus de Prier and Eugene van Rensburg. The big categories, of course, are the open wheels. Special Vehicle Class P, a very strong entry of 7. Special Vehicle Class B, our biggest entry across the season as always, with 15 cars lining up. And of course, our first car that opened up our racing account, Colin Croshaw and Marina van Schalkwyk in the C category, just 1 entry. So we'll be watching for the Class B's and P's to give us some incredible racing action, and in the Class T's, which are almost unlimited full national spec cars, see who can walk away with the big win. The side-by-sides is always the big story, to see who walks away with the win, and in fact, it is the category that has seen the most different winners across the board. Cool to see Suma Smith back on the wheel as well. Don't see her racing in this format too much, but cool to see the Hunky Pallets lady lighting up strong as always. The Gerbers in the P7 would have some early attention from Hein Engelbrecht and Louis Jourdan. Hein, the main man behind ADA, a motorcycle and 4x4 training camp, so believe me, he knows what to do. And this is a whole new experience and project for him, so good luck to Hein Engelbrecht and Louis Jourdan. Some new names, and we always love to see that late on in the season. New names, old machines, new pairings though. Dylan Venter and Jacco van Aert, they've been racing in the National Series, and they are going to be big threats going forward into next season. They love to go racing. They hadn't had enough racing in the National Series, so they came up to the Africa Off-Roads to have one last crack at it in December. With no Willy Feldman this time around, it was up to the Navvy to step into the driver's seat. Cornelius Niemann this time around, with Nico going to be on the notes. Johan Stein and Ronald Smith. Look at that gorgeous car. Absolutely fantastic setup on the vehicle as we go on board with Colleen Croshaw and Marina van Schalkwyk on the C100 as they open the road, but it looks like they're just fading off to the left, meaning someone is coming flying through, and very gentlemanly from our lady racers to allow the faster cars to come charging through. For them, it would be a very tricky day to try and manage their pace and move over at the correct times. The B11 of Johan Besson was absolutely ripping up the fields and charging hard, and was going to be a big threat in the Class Ts. Next to come through would be the Mitsubishi, this time around of Manus du Preez and Eugene van Rensburg. Back on board with the now extremely busy Colleen Croshaw and Marina van Schalkwyk in the C100, as once again they tuck their elbows in, hold their breath, and wait for the next car to come on through. Next up, it's going to be one of our flying Class P or B cars. It's the P1 this time of Julio and Claire Pereira, as they once again see if they can walk away with a sneaky podium. They would eventually end up in a number 5 position this time around with Giel Nel and Ben Janssen. In fact, a very strong entry of the Class Ps at the final round. The G20, the first of the side-by-sides, comes through to try and chase down the top 5. Marcus Labuskachny having a very good run alongside Neil Putter. The ladies just keeping it nice and clean. They've taken a lot of victories in the C category, and this time around, up and over the dam wall, onto the edges. A couple of nice copies to play with at this event as well. Good job for our camera crew there, getting out to get us those amazing shots. The B100, the Baja Bug of Sifu van Schalkwyk and Arthur Croshaw, definitely on once again for a top 3 finish in the ultra-competitive Class B Specials. Beautiful drift. They know this car oh so well. I don't know if I'd have parked my car on the outside for the spectators though. They're going to take a lot of roost and a lot of dust, and possibly a wheel, because sometimes those things do tend to fly off. Tiaan Prinsloo and Dylan de Kock launching it in the B31. Also a crew that would look to try and challenge for a top 3. Philip de Vries and Willy Jacobs in the G4, trying once again to emulate some of their early season form. With 4 crews in the side-by-sides, it was going to be very tricky to see who could walk away with the final podium placings here at the Hartbeesfontein 150. Again, you can feel a lot of pushing going on in lap number 1. Brendan Martin, like I say, all wheels attached for now, just trying to get his season finished off. He would eventually go on to finish a top 5 in category. Vorst Prinsloo making that Mustang sing. That is a Ford Mustang V8 purring under the hood of the NWM. Or former NWM, should I say. Certainly built by them down in Pietermaritzburg, and now owned by Vorst Prinsloo. Driven by him, and on the notes, Kenneth Venter. Vickers and Piet Haasbroek. The Haasbroeks have taken a couple of wins on the season, and they are one of the most aggressive pairings when it comes to attacking on lap 1 in the side-by-side. Looking to the sky and nowhere else, hoping the front end comes down at some point. Everyone climbing up and over. Johan Stein and Ronnie Smith, one of the last crews to go on out. Suma Smith and Costa charging nicely in the P81, just trying to get themselves back into the zone of racing once again. The Class F this time around, not too big entries, just 3 all in all. This time Piet van Rensburg and Maurice van Rensburg, almost camouflaged in this dust and gnarly, dry, mid-summer terrain that we have up in the Northwest Province. The Hartbeesfontein 150 event, just down the road really, from the Potterplas event, which happened just 1 month previous. So similar kind of feel, but slightly different soil. That dark, black or grey, they call it moon dust up there when it's this dry. Nice and arid though, good for the farmers, when it rains that is. Mitsubishi comes charging through. They've just made the pass on Jason Mitchell and Button Robertson in the B27. And they'll be trying to make their way inside of that elusive top 10 for category. fact, on lap 1, they showed themselves as the fastest car out there. Join us after the break to see who wins for the final time.
Red Bull and Aston Martin's AMR RB001. And with more from the World Karting Championships. This time it's to Kristiansand in Sweden. Featured are the OK Senior and Junior titles, stepping stones to Formula One.
On the Bike Show this week, a racing special getting insights from former Superbike champion James Toslin, current Superbike racer Tom Sykes, and MotoGP racers Paul Espargaro and Joan Zarco.
Last few laps, last few kilometers, and for us, the last bit of racing action for 2018. Up in the Northwest Province, as we've been following for the full 12 months of racing, the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series. It's been brought to you by N1 4x4, your cruiser and Toyota 4-wheel drive experts, as well as a number of associate sponsors. Giel Nel and Ben Janssen, absolutely charging at the moment. At the moment, they are one of the fastest crews out there and look to be challenging for a win in the Class P special vehicles. Dylan Venter and Jaco van Aert in the T16, very strong national competitors. 2018 has been their breakout year, going into full national championship. Previously, racing in the Northern Region Championship as well as selected Africa off-road races. This time around, ending off their season, stepping off the nationals once again to end with this amazing club event. Huge support at these races as well by the 4x4 Mega World crew, and we hope to see more of them at these events in 2019. Jeremy and Christopher Mitchell in the P27, trying to break their way into a top 3 at the moment on a predicted second place as far as their race pace goes, and one of the most spectacular crews up and over onto the little copy. This shot really shows how cramped it is in the cockpit. In fact, the helmet's almost clanging together as they rattle up and over. Mohammed and the Shin Mutsen in the B88, charging hard as well. One of our newer crews, just getting themselves comfortable with their vehicle, comfortable with the terrain, comfortable with how the Africa off-road races are run as far as the format goes. Andre Vermeulen, Junior and Senior in the F1. Great to see them running back out there as well. And cool to see a couple of the Colts still out there doing full race distances. The longer wheelbase version of the Colt as well, with of course Manus de Preur and Eugene van Rensburg having adjusted their track halfway through the season to try and get a more aggressive feel out of their car. Johan Stein and Ronald Smit in the B67, charging their way up the order as well, also trying to break their way inside of a top 10 at the moment. They were on for a predicted 13th place. The P7, incredible sounding vehicle and strange looking car. I call it the moon buggy, and it's really at home on the moon dust around the area of Hartbeesfontein. Suma Smit and Costa charging their way up, predicted to finish on a top 3 in category. That's for the special vehicle Class P's. Han Engelbrecht and Louis Jordan, of course their first time out, literally only buying the car maybe a week or 2 before this event. Enough time to put the ADA training stickers onto the side and just get their seatbelt set and chairs in the right position. We're going to see them much more though in 2019. Marcus Labuskakny and Neil Putter in the G20. They were looking to see if they could improve on their times. At the moment, they were sitting on time anyway, second place in the Class Gs. The lead at the moment was held by this crew, Philip de Vries and Willem Jacobs. This entire category now totally dominated by the Can-Am Mavericks. You did have a couple of Polarises back in the day, even a couple of Yamaha side-by-sides about 4 or 5 seasons back. Now it is totally dominated. It's a whitewash of the Can-Ams. The Subaru Power in the B22 of Johan Lloyd and Arnold Theron, also charging their way up the order, trying to break their way into a top 10. Difficult but no one was finding it more difficult than Julio and Claire Ferreira, going slightly offline, getting themselves stuck, and then having some major problems on the back left hand. They'd be lucky to try and limp that thing home and finish it. Man and wife learning a lot about each other and the sport of off-road racing as they are sidelined trying to figure out the repair job. One of our late starters, of course, normally on the notes, this time getting a lucky chance to drive and on the wheel, and aggressive as always. Cornelius Niemann this time around with Nico Viljoen screaming the notes in the F2 Bantam. Johan Strauss and Alzan Fenter, the T29. Slow and steady, but incredibly enough, were on for a predicted first place in the Class Ts. Just trying to save the vehicle where they could and hammer it where they should. Out front, the man that's been opening up the track most of the early part of the day was starting to get closed down now by the uber aggressive Marcus Labuskachny and Neil Putter. The G20 wasn't going to be hanging around and was not going to ask nicely to have to move over and make that pass. He had to as well, because Philip de Vries and Willem Jacobs, who were the fastest on time, were right on their tail. Vos Prinsloo and Kenneth Venter were starting to get comfortable with the NWM Ford. The T41 was still charging hard, making the Mustang Sally sing. CFE van Skalkwyk and Arthur Croshaw had made a lot of passes out there to get themselves on a predicted plane to try and challenge for a win. Right now, the B100 Bug was in a number 2 spot. Vickers and Piet were charging as hard as they could. The Haasbroek pairing on for a predicted 3rd place, with Monis Supria and Eugene Van Rensburg in the D7. Almost guaranteed a win in category, but they'd be trying to see if they could break inside of the top 10 overall. When the flags were coming out, Philip de Vries and Willem Jacobs in the G4 were the first to see the flag. And once again, the giant killers, which are the side-by-sides, were once again the first to see the finish. Johan Strauss and Alzan Fenter took the win in the Class T, which is the ex-national or current national categories. And the single cab Hilux was absolutely perfect as it charged on through. CFE van Skalkwyk and Arthur Croshaw in the B100. The Bug confirmed its 2nd place finish in the 15 car deep category. That was for the special vehicle Class Bs. They got their final finishers medal of the season. Dylan Venter and Jacco van Aert did a great job. One of the younger drivers, but one of the most experienced navigators, pairing up in the 4x4 Mega World Toyota Hilux full Class T national spec to get a number 2 finish in category. Jeremy and Christoph Mitchell absolutely dominated the field this time around, putting 8 minutes into the Bug of Van Skalkwyk and Croshaw to take the win in the special vehicle Class Bs. Our lovely ladies who opened up our racing accounts and the only entry from the C category, Colleen Croshaw and Marina Van Skalkwyk, confirmed once again another win in Class C and did a very good job and were very polite out there every time someone came charging up behind them. They did a good job to bring it home safe and clean. Gil Nel and Ben Janssen did a nice job in the Class P special vehicle category to beat out Jeremy Mitchell alongside Christo Bester. A nice run though for the pairing in the P27. Suma Smith would go on to finish a 3rd place in the P81. First up though was Monis Dupria and Eugene Van Rensburg taking a win as their only entry in the D7s, but a solid race time of 2 hours 33 would stand them inside possibly a top 10, maybe top 12 overall. Suma Smith and Costa confirmed their 3rd place finish in a 7-car deep entry for the Class Ps. They beat out newcomers Hein Engelbrecht and Louis Jourdan. Great to see a new pairing. A couple of new co-drivers as well, but new vehicles nonetheless, firing it on home. Our late entry coming on through there as well. Niemann and Viljoen followed on home to take yet another victory in the Class Fs, beating out the Van Rensburgs and the Vermeulens down into the 2s and 3s. The Class Gs, the G20, this time Marcus Labuskachny and Neil Putter, 2nd place. This time out, aggressive but possibly a little bit too much so. Vos Prinsloo and Kenneth Venter in their second-hand, brand new used, you would say, in the car trade. The NWM Ford Ranger comes on home. 3rd place in the Class Ts, a very respectable race time of 2 hours 46. Pete and Marius Van Rensburg followed closely by Lloydie and Tyrone. And one by one, all of our crews were coming home to draw a line under this amazing 2018 season of the running of the Africa Off-Road Championship Racing Series. Here's confirmation of the final event breakdown, though, as far as the categories go. Jason Mitchell and Robertson got the win ahead of Sifu van Skalkwyk and Arthur Croshaw, and then Lloydie and Tyrone in the Subaru-powered B22 got third place. A lot of DNFs in the category. In the Class Cs, it was the lovely ladies Colleen Croshaw and Marina van Skalkwyk who got their win. A runtime of 2 hours 27, very respectable, and it definitely paid off to start off as first wheel. In the Ds, Manus de Prier and Eugene van Rensburg. In the Class F, Cornelius Niemann and Nico Viljoen for the first time. Different pairing on the notes and on the wheel, beating out the Van Rensburgs and the Vermeulen's. In the Class G side-by-sides, Philip de Vries and Willie Jacobs getting the win ahead of Marcus Labuskakny and Neil Putter, with Vickers and Piet Haasbroek. Unfortunately for Rose and Atwell, no finish at the final event. For the Class Ps, Giel Nel and Ben Janssen getting a good victory, but not by much, just over a minute ahead of Jeremy Mitchell and Christo Bester, with Suma Smit and Costa in third place ahead of the newcomers Hein Engelbrecht and Louis Jourdan. For production vehicle Class T, Johan Strauss and Alzan Venter got a great win going, around about 5 minutes ahead of Dylan Venter and Jaco van Aert, with Vos Prinsloo and Kenneth Venter dusting off their new wagon down in third place. For the championship, it was Wolf Peter Fumfai on the drivers that took the championship, with Arthur Croshaw on the notes taking the navigator's crown. That was all for Class B. The rest of the categories, Class C going to Colleen Croshaw driving, Marina van Skalkwyk on the notes. Class D, Manus de Prier took the Drivers' Championship, with Paul Murray taking the crown for the Navigators. And in Class F, Willie Feldman taking the Drivers, Cornelius Niemann on the notes. In the Class Gs, fastest driver on the season was Marcus Labuskakny, fastest on the notes, Marco Solmonson. In Class P, Julio Ferreira takes the Drivers' crown. After the final event then, and the last round of the season, we went down to the pits for one more chat.
Good day, I'm Johan Retief, I'm the co-pilot, Freddie O'Brien, the driver, Team Pronto Rustenburg. We just want to thank our sponsors for this year, who sponsored us. It's Pronto Panel Beaters, RSM Bande, East End Motors, Andrews Truck and Wheel Alignment. We just want to say thanks, guys. It was a great year. Thanks for the support and everything. The Team Pronto that's assisting us every week or every month to repair the car. And then luckily we broke a gearbox today. We couldn't finish the last race, but we'll see you guys next year. All the best. Thanks.
Literally cannot wait. And before everyone got their number 1s and 2s on and got ready for the end of season and championship prize giving, there was a small matter of getting the handouts going for the Hartbeesfontein 150. I'll tell you what, everyone can agree this has been an amazing journey, and we'll be there once again in 2019 to bring you all the action.